you are being way too nice to somebody who honestly only deserves complete silence from you. It's giving like somebody somebody's like speaking to you or whatever, and regardless of your response, they are going to twist it the way that they desire to twist it, okay? It's like, so say you sigh or whatever, which is natural, okay? And then this person's like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And it seems like they actually care, they actually give a shit, but then like regardless of what your response is, they'll be like, "Oh, that's a weird reaction to have for something that's not that big of a deal." Okay? So that's like the energy and you can apply it as it resonates. It's also giving that this person only sort of like, again, they're like manipulating some knowledge that they have about social dynamics or communication or like psychology in some way to where they could like shift their tone and everything. I don't know if they like literally talk in a baby voice, but it's giving like someone fakes being nice and polite and like considerate or whatever and compassionate just to get information out of you in the form of either like literal information about, say, how something in your personal life is going, so like romantically or financially, somebody may be asking you roundabout questions in order to like deduce your income in some way. So you know say like, oh yeah, how much is your rent actually, because mine is this, and rent is just so high. Like they're trying to make it seem like it's small talk, but they're trying to figure out how much money you're making, or like they want, they're either like, you can't win in the situation because either you're making a lot of money and then they want to manipulate that somehow, blah blah blah, okay? And also it's not their business, okay? Or, they want to like be like, "Oh yeah, they're struggling and I knew that whatever they were working on wasn't going to actually work out or whatever, so you can't win." Like, and I know sometimes it can be hard, especially the way that we are like designed as human beings, I guess. I don't know. Whatever. It's like when if someone asks you something directly, usually you want to respond to them because that's just like the way that conversation flows, but it's giving that and it can feel unnatural to just ignore them, especially if it's face to face. But honestly, in this situation is giving that if this person, and you should know who this is, okay? If this person says something to you, just like ignore them. Just don't even acknowledge that they said anything at all. Like, and it's easier to do if they're communicating with you through like calling you, okay? If and you just obviously block them or don't respond to them, okay? Um Honestly, don't even like open the messages. You usually like delete the whole like conversation before you open the message, so you don't even have to see it. And then, if you ever see them face to face and be like, "Oh, did you not see what I said?" And be like, "No, I literally didn't. I didn't even get it." Okay? Because that's not lying because you didn't, right? But if it's face to face, again, this person is like, again, it's like the intentions for like why they are doing this are different because their intentions for like getting information or a reaction out of you varies based on what reaction you give them. You know what I mean? It's like based on your response. It's almost giving this person like they're like policing your emotions in some way because uh you know I don't know. This is just an example. So say you sigh again because it's cold outside, obviously, right? Like, and so, you know, this person hears you sighing and they're like, "Oh, what's wrong?" And you're like, "Oh, well, it's really cold outside. I'm just dreading going outside." And then, I don't know. They just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry that it gets such a big reaction out of you to have to go outside like everybody else." And then they are trying to bait you into like, I don't know, they know what they're doing basically. They could know that you have a temper or this that you have strict boundaries, right? Especially when it comes to disrespect, um, or like tone that people use, okay? So it's almost like they're taking advantage of the fact that you can read people's intentions, but they're like doing it in a way to where they could deny that they had any malintent or whatever, and then they can go around and tell people that you're so argumentative or you complain about, all you do is complain about everything. Oh, you're so aggressive. You're always trying to start a fight or whatever. because all they know how to do is play the victim because, like, sorry, algorithm, because they're a little bitch. That's just like, that's all it is. And so you just have to remind yourself of that. And, you know, again, it can be sort of uncomfortable at first to just literally like flat out ignore the fact that somebody's speaking to you. But that's better than like allowing them the control over any aspect of your subconscious to where you feel like you need to police how you express your emotions towards anything. And like, I would just tell you that, like, the way that I was raised, I basically like, I don't know, it's sort of like any sort of emotional expression, good or bad, was criticized in some way. So that's kind of like when my affects can be flat sometimes, but like, but it's giving that like this doesn't have to be your parent. It could be. This could have to do with like an ex, or just like like an ex friend, or just somebody that you really should not be in contact with anymore. And I know, like, the reason why this message is coming through is because maybe there's something that is still tying the two of you together, or like forcing you two to still be in contact with one another. So like, I don't know, if you're going through like a divorce proceeding with somebody where you are forced to see them, and forced to interact with somebody that you would rather not have in your life, or you're getting to the point where you're recognizing how this person is trying to twist the narrative, um preemptively. I'm not going to name names, but there's like a pretty stark, like, public example of this, to where how somebody wants it so that when things end, they want to look like the victim to save their own like reputation or whatever. And I'll just like speak this into existence, that anybody who tries to slander you or twist the narrative will immediately be exposed for like whatever secrets they fear, you know, being revealed the most. Okay? Um, Especially anyone who wants to play the victim as if, it's giving like it's giving the energy of like, say you left somebody and then they refused to accept that you left them, okay? And then they were still telling people that you were in a relationship, but you moved on, okay? And then so obviously the timelines like don't match up, and then so everyone would be like, "Oh, well, you cheated on them." But then you would be like, "No, I explicitly told them that we're not together anymore, and it's on them for not accepting that." You know, this is somebody who could like keep toxic receipts, especially if, say that there's like a back and forth through text or something. I don't know. Uh right, like, and you guys were both being like toxic towards each other, or like both being like, angry towards each other, right? Then they would like delete whatever messages on their end made them look bad, and then like leave the ones that make you look bad, and then like show that to everybody. Okay? And I would just say that it doesn't really matter, because for this collective, you're elevating to a point where you're going to be in spaces that this person will not be able to step foot in. Like, you're going to be best, like, I don't know, I don't say like best friends, but you're going to be in close proximity to individuals who would immediately like be able to clock this person for how low value they are. And I'm not saying that in like a literal, like, because somebody can have money and still be low value, right? But it's just giving that it's that you're entering spaces where it will be very obvious to these individuals that whoever this person is not actually worthy of respect. And of course, a lot of people, like, people are worthy of like base level respect, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and all that. But somebody's behavior and actions can make them, especially when they don't respect others, obviously, then they aren't, they're not a leader, they're weak, they're pathetic. So obviously, yes, their opinion and like what they say does not hold any value or worth, because they're an unreliable person. You know what I mean? Like, they're an unreliable narrator within their own like life story, because all they can do is lie to themselves, which is why they have to spin some like sort of like perspective about you, because they can't live with the honest truth about how like pathetic they are. And that's because they choose to continuously be that way, or whatever. Um because being real would require them, I don't know, like, admitting how toxic that they've been. And I honestly think this person can't like actually live with themselves and what they've done, so they just project it onto you and everybody else.